All right, everybody, they are wrapping up that press conference there. And the man you see there to the right of your screen, that is the deceased believed suspect there. That is 25-year-old Guy Edward Barkas of 29 Palms. That is a neighboring community of Palm Desert, about an hour or so away from the Palm Springs area there in the desert. Lots of information to unpack there. But let me right now speak with NBC's Camila Bernal and Rob D'Amico. We're going to bring you back in as well, my friend, former FBI supervisor. So, Camila, to you first. For those people who don't know the Palm Springs area, I mean, give a description of it. I will say I'm from Southern California. I know it to be a very lively at times area, spring breakers, for example. My godmother lives neighboring in Palm Desert. When I heard about this yesterday while we were on the air, I was stunned. I said, Palm Springs? This kind of thing does not happen there.
No, and this is obviously an area with great weather, so you have a lot of visitors from all over the country and really all over the world. And even when I spoke to one of the employees at the clinic yesterday, she told me that a lot of the people that actually go to this clinic are from out of town because they're here spending a large portion of their winter or just a large portion of the year here. So you get a lot of visitors. You get people who are very welcoming. You heard from the press conference a lot of the local officials saying that this is obviously a great place to be, telling people to snap pictures and show everyone else how nice Palm Springs is. So this is obviously not something that they were anticipating. But one of the things that they made very clear was that essentially the good guys won here, and they were able to keep the embryo safe. We just heard that all 4 of the people that were injured had been released from the hospital. So really just positive news coming out of this press conference as they did connect the dots in terms of the suspect. The one thing they are asking from the public right now is to help them figure out what this suspect was doing right before the blast. They say he got to Palm Springs at 6 in the morning, and they're asking people to look at the picture, to maybe identify his car, to see exactly where he went or what he was doing right up to the moment that he went to that clinic and essentially blew himself up in that car.
Indeed. And that brings me to a question for you, Rob. That timeline they're trying to establish within Palm Springs, they said they knew where he was at 6 a.m. They have an ability to track when he entered the city. Maybe that's from cameras and the like. But until he got to that parking lot that we're showing our viewers right now, why do they need that information? Is it to perhaps rule out the possibility of an accomplice?
Well, that's one of them, but I think the bigger one is, where did he build this device? Because that can be a dangerous area. If he left chemicals out, if he did things, and the evidence trail that goes with it. So did he build it at that 29 Palms location, or was some of it in a storage garage somewhere? And that's a dangerous thing that they have to figure out. So they have to figure out a time frame of when he started making his movement. They're going to piece this back. This was the initial one. It might have been a license plate reader. It might have been a camera that had some that was quickly gathered that they ID'd the car or the suspect on, that put him at that 6 a.m. But now they're going to start taking in a lot of information, people's Ring cameras and other things. And that's why they gave the description, the car, the license plate, so people can ID it on personal devices that are collecting images and videos. So they're going to start piecing together. But I think the biggest thing is, where did he make this? Because there's some dangerous chemicals. They did the safety sweep at the place in 29 Palms. Obviously, we haven't heard if there was anything left there, because a lot of these people, like they'll trap their own home knowing the police are going to come there. And then
booby trap.
He get killed by accident. Like they talked about live streaming it. Was it going to be a live stream with his demise? Because there was talk about him doing a video and him having some suicidal thoughts that turned into. So they really have to piece, was he looking at to do something else? Where did he make the device? Did he leave chemicals that are dangerous somewhere? Or there's even materials that are unstable based on what they find out from the explosion. And
they said that he had attempted to live stream. And again, he was someone that had been described as being depressed, had some sort of relationship problem, again, only 25 years old. But with regard to that bomb, when you have something that is able to go 250 yards. That's 2.5 lengths of a football field, and have phenomenal amounts of debris in that area. What kinds of chemicals are they that are able to put a bomb like that together? And you bring up a good point when they're trying to figure out where this Ford Fusion car went once it entered into Palm Springs. Are these the kinds of chemicals that can just be placed in the backseat of a car and be driven around without fear of them somehow mixing together and creating an explosion that way?
This wasn't just chemicals. This was like more of like an ammonium nitrate, something that you saw like in the Oklahoma City bombing, where there has to be an explosion. It's not a quick chemical reaction that can cause that type of movement. I've been around a bunch of these in Iraq and Afghanistan, single vehicle devices, VBIDs, used to call them vehicle-borne IEDs. And then the explosion, happens because when you look at the movement of the building and the blast from that, and the FBI agents go through the bomb techs. I think the bomb techs probably within an hour knew what kind of device was used just by the chemical analysis on the scene. They'll have to pare it down into certain things, but the traces that are left there, and they go through a school called post-blast. Even regular agents go through it. It's at Quantico. The explosive unit does it with the FBI, and they bring the agents and police in, and they teach them about these devices, and then they start blowing them up in different sizes. You can hear them at Quantico all the time going off. And then they start looking at what's left from each device so they can understand what happens when you blow something up in an open field and there's nothing around it. This one had a building. So as you see, there was a big explosion on the one side, but then it ripped through and you saw all the debris on the street out front. That was the post blast of it going through the building and out. So people not understanding how a device works, the bomb techs and the agents there are doing all that right now. But I think probably within a couple hours, they understood what chemicals were used because it does leave so much traces of it. And they're very good at figuring that out quickly.
Well, we are indeed showing people the aftermath of this bomb, which, as the FBI said, believed to be the largest bombing investigation the FBI has ever been involved in Southern California. So that is notable in itself. Camila Bernal and Rob D'Amico, thank you both for joining us through the top of this hour and the breaking news developments there in Palm Springs.